Lawmakers prepare to wrap up this year's 30-day session on Thursday. The debate over funding everything from public safety to teachers' pay rages on.
But there's one issue that was decided quietly without debate, hearings, or news releases. It involves lawmakers and the tens of millions of dollars that they have discreetly stashed away for themselves. Tonight, News 13's Larry Barker follows a money trail and a legislative sweet deal.
It's a $44 million nest egg stockpiled in Santa Fe.
It seems like a pretty good deal if you're a state legislator.
I found that it was more than a good deal.
Take a close look at the details surrounding this multi-million-dollar bankroll. You read the fine print and you'll find it's a retirement plan created by legislators for legislators. And it's one of the most unusual pension plans in the country.
Keith Brainerd is with the National Association of State Retirement Administrators. He spoke with us from his office in Austin.
The New Mexico plan, in certain respects, especially the way that it calculates the retirement benefit, is a bit of a horse of a different color.
Retirement plans depend on employee payroll deductions for funding. For example, an APS teacher making $43,000 a year pays $4,600 annually to the Educational Retirement Board. APS then kicks in another $6,000. If you are a state employee, almost 9% of your paycheck is earmarked for PERA. New Mexico chips in another 17% of your salary. That's how pension plans work. Well, that's how most pension plans work.
This is the first retirement plan that I've seen in the public sector that is not based on a salary or wage.
New Mexico's legislative retirement plan is mostly funded by taxpayers. So where school teachers shell out thousands of dollars every year towards their retirement, state legislators annually contribute just $600 a year. Since 2003, lawmakers have diverted tens of millions of dollars from oil and gas revenue to fund the legislators' pension plan. This year alone, lawmakers' retirement cost taxpayers $900,000.
Lawmakers justify the retirement plan because they do not receive a salary. New Mexico is the only state in the country with an unpaid legislature. Lawmakers receive $161 in per diem for each day the legislature is in session. Now, per diem is a reimbursement for expenses, not a salary.
If we're ever a paid legislature, Larry, our retirement will be so much higher than it is now and cost the taxpayers so much more, it'll be pitiful.
Stuart Engel is the Senate Minority Leader.
This is something that'll give somebody a little bit of a benefit for serving in a non-paying job for these years.
Legislative retirement benefits are calculated by a formula. The longer you serve, the more money you make in retirement. Now, a lawmaker who has served 10 years in the roundhouse can retire at any age and receive full benefits. Not bad for working 30 or 60 days a year.
For example, John Ryan retired last year after serving 11 years in the state Senate. His annual pension, more than $11,000. Former Senate President Pro Tem MANNY served 29 years in the legislature and collects almost $31,000 a year for life. Former House Appropriations Chair KIKI SAAVEDRA takes home more than $39,000 after a 37-year career at the Capitol. Today, so much money has been poured into the taxpayer-supported legislative retirement plan that it is actually overfunded at 151%. That means it has $14 million more than it needs to pay future benefits. Compare that to teachers' retirement, which is only funded at 63%. PERA's State Employee Fund also lacks enough assets to meet future liabilities. It's funded at just 66%.
Almost every public pension plan in the country these days is underfunded which means they have more in obligations than they do in assets. But with regard to the New Mexico legislators' pension plan, they have accumulated much more in assets than they have in obligations. I'm not familiar with any public pension plan that's funded at that level right now.
Jim Dines is an Albuquerque state representative. He does not participate in the Roundhouse pension plan.
$900,000. Is there a better use for that money than sticking it into the legislative retirement plan?
Absolutely. I think that when we take a look at what is needed in everything from the public safety to education, absolutely. When our teachers and our public employees of the state of New Mexico have their fund, which is their future retirement, in the 60% range of being funded, and the legislature, on the other hand, is 151%. That makes no sense to me at all.
State Rep Brian Egoff is Speaker of the House.
$900,000 is clearly too much because it's more overfunded now than it was when we tried to fix it last spring in the special session. So I do think it'd be appropriate to suspend those payments basically in their entirety until the pension gets more in line with where it should be.
It's a little curious that the state continues to make contributions to the plan when the actuaries have indicated that no contributions are required. And at the same time, state employees and local government employees and school teachers are not getting anywhere close to the full required contribution that they should be receiving.
If the public was aware of what the provisions are for the legislative retirement plan, how do you think they would react?
I can tell you very quickly how the ones have reacted in my district. They're astounded.
Senator Engel has proposed raising the lawmakers' contribution to the pension plan.
Well, it's generous in the fact that we don't contribute much in it. That's true. And that wasn't my idea. I wanted it to be higher. I've tried that a time or two and can't get the votes to do it. I'd love to get it to at least $1,000 a year. And that's still very reasonable. But anyway, I only have one vote. And I can get a few votes, but not enough.
You've been rather outspoken on this issue.
Correct.
It can't make Representative Dines very popular in this building.
I'm sure that I'm not, on this issue, the most popular person in the Roundhouse. But I think a lot of people who have finally gotten to know me up here understand that I feel this is a matter of fairness and principle. It needs to be acted on.
You think there's enough votes out there to change the system?
Hopefully there's enough to get to what we're paying in. We need to be paying in more. We really should be paying $1,000 a year.
What it would take to change that?
22 votes in the Senate and 36 in the House.
I have no doubt that an issue at the top of the mind with the new administration and with the next legislature, that we're going to be getting into this and making sure that it's on the path to being solved.
Larry Barker, KRQE, News 13.